Hey guys, hey. Can you guys hear me okay? Good evening. How's everybody doing? Hey Miss Linda. Hey Craftable Things. Hey Patrice. How are you all doing today? Um so today's live is going to be about hooping and the different types of hoops that we have. I do have a one needle machine and mine is the NQ1600E. Hey, Miss Joanne. And so with the NQ1600E, I really didn't buy a whole lot of hoops. So what I did do though, because after embroidery kind of took off for me, maybe 5 years ago, um, it it really kind of put me in a whole different space. So I ended up with multi needles. So what I'm going to talk about today is the hoops that I have for multi needles. Hey Dimps, and the hoops that I have, which I only have one type of hoop the ones that came with my single needle. So there's a couple of tools that I think are kind of important to use. Um, and let me start over. So welcome to the chat. Welcome to the live. I'm sorry. And then if you're new here, thank you for joining us. If you're coming back, thanks for coming back. Um, so a couple of things. One with the single needle. So these hoops are adjustable. They normally have some type of tension tightener on the end where you can tighten it based on the thickness of your material. So because of that, there are some tools, and the one tool that I love to use is one that actually came with my machine. And that tool is almost like a screwdriver, but it is this little tool right here, and it literally fits right in here, and you can use it to tighten and loosen your hoop. So these hoops are adjustable based on the thickness of the material that you're putting in there. So I do really love these hoops, but believe me, I don't use it without this little tool. And I still do use my multi-needle. I actually took it to work over Christmas, and I embroidered on site blankets for my team, which was pretty interesting because people couldn't believe I was literally in there embroidering for them. That's a whole different story because my team is special. But so it was very interesting to them that I had taken the time to do that. Um, Another hoop that I think is really, really good. Hey, Sayini, welcome to the live. Um, with the multi needles, there are hat hoops, and there are different types of hat hoops. So, depending on your machine, your hat hoop may have these little round things here at the base, or it may even have this flat piece here. And then there's a third hoop that I actually don't have. Actually, it's probably four, but there's a third hoop, a fourth hoop that I don't have. So there is the one that comes from Hoop Tech. So Hoop Tech actually is another company, kind of like Mighty Hoop, but they make hoops that are pretty easy for people to use, especially if they have carpal tunnel and if they are not really able to use these type hoops because the hooping can get a little difficult based on what you're trying to hoop. There's also a hoop from Brother that gets you really, really close to the base of the hat. The reason why I chose these hoops is because these will allow me to do from ear to ear on the hat. And so I really do a lot of ear to ear type hats, especially for sports and those type things. So the different types of hat hoops that you could actually have to go with your multi needle is definitely one of those things that you should investigate as you are looking at multi needles. The hat hoop is important, especially if you're planning to do hats. One other one that I find very, very useful. This is a Hoop Tech product. And by the way, I am not sponsored by anyone. So these are my opinions and my opinions only. These are the things that I use, tools that I use, and that I actually really like. So for this particular one, this one is supposed to be for your pocket. So it's a logo. So you can put a logo on left chest, but I'm gonna tell you what this is also good for. You know how everybody's putting people's names on the sleeve and stuff like that? This is very good for this type thing. Now, ease of use, I am all for ease of use. And this is one of those things that allows you to have ease of use because the hooping of this thing is super easy. All you're doing is literally sliding your oh, if I unlock it, it'll work. You're literally sliding your garment off in here with the stabilizer. You clamp it down. Once you clamp it down, it's going to be stuck in there. It's not going anywhere. And then once you've done that, it's ready for stitching and it's already in the position for what you need. Now, the thing that you have to be careful of is when you're using a hoop that did not come with your machine, you should always trace. Like I even trace on the things that come with my machine because of the fact that it is very important to make sure that you are not going to hit one of these rails because hitting one of these rails with your machine is detrimental to that arm and you can actually break it. So you see this one just twists open like this. And so then you can lay your garment in here, your stabilizer in here. And then once you're done, you just clip that in and you begin your trace first and then you can sew. So this is really good. Again, it can be used for your logos, so left chest. It can also be used for when you're doing something on a sleeve. And if you're doing something on the shoulders, like right here, like if you're doing something on a shoulder of a jacket or something like that, you can also use this as well. In addition to this one from Hoop Tech, I also have the second generation Hoop Tech items for doing bags. It's getting ready to be football season for a lot of the schools and things like that. So as the spring comes along, I'll get more garment bags and different types of bags that the kids travel with. And I use this for hooping all of those bags. So if you have something that's a difficult to hoop item, these things come in handy because of two things. One, it literally pops open like this so that you can adjust it. You can slide some type of irregular item in here and you can embroider on weird pockets, different types of corners, stuff like that. And it has different um, little windows that you can use to do things like that with. This makes it so much easier to hoop weird things like pockets inside bags and the pockets that you would see on backpacks. Like, you know, like some of the little kids, their parents will get their backpacks embroidered, especially for dance. So dance and different types of studios. So if you're looking for people to get things embroidered, those type of people normally are getting their kids stuff embroidered all the time. All right, so the next hoop is the hoop that came with my multi needles. And so I have this one. It came with one of my multi needles. And just like the one that came with the one needle, it also has the little tension gauge here to adjust it. And then the same for like my brother, my 10 needle brother. So it also came with one like this and it has the little tension thing there. So it's really, really important to understand how to hoop. It's also important to understand what hoop you need. So when you're looking at a new machine, don't just go out and buy 1,000 hoops just because you heard somebody say, oh, that's a good hoop to have. Don't do that. Make sure you understand what it is you're going to be doing and what you may need it for. So this is called a fast frame. This is sticky stabilizer I have on this. And let me tell you, I always have these things ready to go because me and sticky stabilizer, I use it all the time for different things. So just having it ready to go for me is very important. Um, Hey, Imposing Gestures. So this fast frame comes with a lot of different windows, if you will. These windows are different sizes, so you can use them for so many different things. The main thing I use this for is for my bigger items. For example, if I'm working on a blanket and I don't use a mighty hoop, and I'll talk about mighty hoops in a minute, but my fast frames are pretty easy for that. Now, when I'm getting ready, which I have a big order of towels to do, this is invaluable. And I'm going to tell you one good thing about this stuff, and I have the one that has the larger window as well. When you're doing things like towels, what you want to do, start at the top. If you're doing like a one liner on a towel or something like that, start at the top, then carefully pull that off. Guess what? Go down another line. This sheet, if I had a one liner that I was doing, I probably could use this thing like 10 times until I got to the bottom. Now I'm gonna tell you, because I like to save time, especially if I'm trying to roll out 100 items, because most of my things are MOQ 50 for a lot of my bigger customers. And so when I'm doing that, I just take another look. This is gonna stay here because it's just gonna come out in the middle. I take another sheet and put it right in the middle here, stick it on there, and so keep sewing. It's like a keep sewing, keep sewing. So that way I'm not stopping to try to rehoop this, take off all that stuff. No, I just put another layer behind that because guess what? I'm gonna start in the same spot. It's gonna pick it up and we're gonna keep rolling, especially on things like that. And the towels that I'm talking about are not the high pow towels. These are those like a tea towel or the towels that the guys are carrying with them on their belt. They're not super super thick, and they don't have a lot of pow. But fast frames, they are very very good. Now, magnetic hoops. Magnetic hoops are very important. If you have arthritis, if you just like me and don't want to waste time, these magnetic hoops are going to be life. So I have tons of magnetic hoops, all different sizes. For this size, because I use it a lot, I have 4 different one of these. And I'm planning to get some more because of some of the other bigger orders that are coming in later in the year. So these are very important. Now, a couple things about these, and I'm storing mine wrong, so don't do what I just did. You normally are supposed to store it with it like this. So with the magnet on the front, so that literally all you have to do is slide it off, pop it on the back, and you can do it. But if you're using your station, if you're using a mighty hoop station, then you can actually just slide this off, put it in the station, and get it ready for hooping. But magnetic hoops are really, really good. You have to be careful if you have a pacemaker or if you hey, so if you have a pacemaker or if you have a medical condition that says that you should not be using magnets, these are not the hoops for you. Again, these are not the hoop for you because these magnets are seriously strong and you don't want to mess up a device that may be keeping you alive. So don't do that. There's also a bunch of hoops by Dime, and this is one of them. So I got this one several years ago at a show, and it is just as strong as these the mighty hoop, as you can tell. And so literally, I can't even get it open. Okay, here it is. This thing is strong. So it is, I think this may be 10 by 10, but it's a pretty huge window. And basically, this one, I normally use this for whenever it's more mainly used for me for blankets. I do a lot of blankets. So for my blankets, I use this. But I also have 2 other things that I'll show you here in a few minutes that I use for blankets and anything that is heavy and I need to like continuously stitch on it. So that this is how I use these. All right. So one other thing I'd like to show you guys that I think is very important. If you're new to using a multi-needle machine, one of the things that you should look into if you don't have is an arm. This is called a tubular hooping support arm. Think about it like this. When you're using your multi-needle, you have those two arms that are they feel very fragile, right? So this, as well as a table, will help you to alleviate some of that pulling on the arms, because over time you could actually break your arms depending on what you have been hooping and what you have there. So think of, if you're using like a heavy hoodie and you are always doing hoodies, and those hoodies literally pull down on those arms. If you put one of these and it goes on your machine right over the cover part where you put the bobbin case, so it just slides up. You have to pull this out. It slides up over that. And so it would actually end up extending your tube so that it would take the pressure off of your arms and put some more pressure here. Now, that is the same thing that a table does. So, say for instance, if you had a really long blanket that you were doing that was heavy, I would normally put my table up then. And so what a table is, and I'm going to try to show you one because I have two, and one of them is really huge. But so this is the table for my brother machine, and again, it slides right on alongside of where my bobbin case, the housing for the bobbin case. And so this will also lay flat. It sits there and it allows you to lay your garment on it so that it's not pulling down on those arms. Because over time, you can mess up those arms, and replacing the arms can be quite expensive. So you want to make sure that you're careful with that. All right. So let's see. We have covered more than 5 different hoops, but I thought it would be pretty interesting to do. So again, let's start over. So we got our hat hoops. We have our fast frames. We have our pocket hoops. Excuse me. We have our pocket hoops. We also have what I call hoop anything from Hoop Tech. Excuse me. We have the ones that come with your machine that most people replace immediately. And again, try to use these because you never know when you may have to go back to it. And also understand what it is that you may want to be embroidering, because you may not need all of these hoops like I do. This one is also one that came with my other machine. And then you have the support that goes along with all of these hoops, which is things like your table and the tubular arm. So this is called a tubular arm, and I did get this from Mighty Hoop. So Mighty Hoop sells these. And then what else? Oh, my other little support thing for my regular hoop, which is my little key turner. And it looks like that. So I think that was all about hoops today. So I think for next week, I'm not sure what we're going to talk about. Today was hoops. Maybe next week we may actually do some embroidering together, because I think at this point, just talking about, I can actually talk about some of the mistakes that I've made in embroidering, because there's always mistakes. I know we talked about some for stabilizer, and making sure that you have the right stabilizer, but also making sure that you understand how to hoop is also important. So hooping and the right hoop for what you're doing is important as well. So I think that's it for today. We kept it under 20 minutes. That's my goal, so that we can get in, get out, and learn something. I will probably be back on later tonight after everybody else does their lives, just because I'm going to be working up into the night. I have so much stuff to get done. And I did another fabric haul yesterday. I went and bought some more fabric for some things that I'm making for Mother's Day, and I'm working on Mother's Day things. So I can take you guys along on that journey as well. What'd you say? And make sure you don't stitch your, that's right. Oh my God. So let me tell you, I actually showed this last time. So here was my oops when I did that. So see that? I stitched it together. Here we go. Tried to pull it apart. So yes, that is a great reminder. Make sure you're not stitching it together, because yes, it happens. It happens to everybody. So yeah, that's one of those things you got to always check. That's a good thing to check. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for joining. If you are watching on the replay and you've never joined the channel, please make sure that you subscribe and hit that like button. Also, come back next Sunday. Be back here at 6 o'clock. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Have a good evening.